What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with the overall market. I'm also going to briefly talk about AMC and GameStop, talk about the overall market as we have some very important data coming out for tomorrow. What you should be watching for as time progresses. But before I begin the doubles information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, deposit $100, you're guaranteed 7 free stocks. The offer ends very soon in just about 2 weeks. Anyways, now let's talk about the market. Let's talk about what's going on so far. So right now, the market's in a very, very critical place. But one thing that's getting a lot of attention would be these quote-unquote meme stocks. So I want to talk about those just real quick for just a few minutes. I'm going to break down my typical updates about the economic data coming out for tomorrow, what to be watching for, and also what I'm seeing on the charts. All right. So let's start off with GameStop. One thing worth knowing about GameStop is it tends to be a momentum stock. So it builds a lot of momentum based off volume. And we're seeing a lot of interest right now. So there is a lot of volume. It is pushing up very, very nicely. And there is more upside potential if we maintain this volume. It's all about volume. So if we get the volume going into tomorrow, high levels of volume at these levels that we're seeing, we could easily push towards the 40 area, in my opinion, if not 50, if that breaks. So we'll be watching to see if that ends up being the case. We need good volume, more buyers, and this could lead to a mini gamma squeeze, but nothing is guaranteed forever for this stock. So the best thing I'll tell you is that, yes, there's more upside potential, but if I were to play this, I would just get in and then get out. I'm referring to like options and day trade. I'm not referring to like holding shares because some people want to hold shares for years, and that's free to you. That's your choice. You could do whatever you want. I'm not, push you to do anything, but I'm just referring to like day trading, swing trading, and things like that. So if I were to trade this, I would look for a good entry point. So we could look at our key Fibonacci retracement area just for see some potential levels like 31.37 or even below this. I would set a stop at the next level, if anything, if I were to try to trade this. And then what I would do is I wouldn't risk too much. I would get in as it starts running, look at volume. If volume starts to dry up, whether we halt or not, if that contributes to it slowing down or not, I would just keep on holding on. And then what I would do is once we get to a good exit point, whether it's, whatever your target happens to be, whether you want to see it hit 40 or not, I would take profits. I would still take profits quickly because it's very manipulated. I'll tell you guys one thing: the market is very, very manipulated. So are AMC and GameStop. These stocks could run it, but they could also fall as fast as they run. And they could use all kinds of manipulation to stop these things from running because Schro's already lost $1 billion today. So I would get in if I were to just day trade this. I'm not referring to long-term shares, guys. I'm just talking about day trading. You'd get in, watch it run, set your stops, manage risks, and then get out quickly, right? Secure profits. Don't be left holding the bag because I know what could happen. I know that I don't have the control over whether or not this stock keeps running. I know it's very manipulated. I'll just do what's best to adapt to the new cards that are being dealt. So for AMC, also good volume. It has a nice amount of momentum building. A lot of people may start to FOMO in. So that's kind of referring to the fact that people just noticed that it was running, that they're going to slowly start entering even more tomorrow and still pushing in the after hours. So it has more potential momentum being built. So volume is looking pretty good. If we maintain good volume tomorrow and break 6.32, I think we could go all the way up to 7.5. And if that breaks, look at 8 followed by 10. Those are going to be my main targets. I'll be watching this resistance right here at 7.5, then eventually 8, and then eventually 10 if that breaks. So those are my potential targets right here. I do see a very, very key zone right here in the 7 area. So I do see potential for us to go all the way up there. Look for a little retracement first before it tries to continue to go higher. And then remember what I told you guys about momentum. Yes, look for a good entry point, but do not be left holding the bag because these stocks run, they have potential, but they're also very manipulated. Never ever forget about that, guys. Don't forget about what's happened in the past. All right. That's all I'm going to say about them. If you want to play them, it's your choice. If you want to hold long term shares, that's your choice too. That could work out very well. If you want, it's up to you, but I'm just calling that out. Now, for the overall markets, we're in a very, very critical place right now. SPY is showing a little bit of weakness, but we're still range bound. I'm saying weakness because we kind of popped and dropped today again. We actually had a very flat day overall, but once again, we didn't really make much progress. Now, tomorrow we have important data coming out. 1 hour before the market opens, we have the PPI data report. Year over year, we're expecting 2.2%, a slight increase compared to what we saw from before. So we'll see if we get a hot PPI or not. And then for core PPI, we want this to be between 2.4% or just 2.4% exactly. If it's lower than that, that would be good for the markets. If it's higher, that would be a little bit more bearish. For core PPI month over month, we want this to be 0.2%, alongside PPI month over month to be 0.2 to 0.3%. We will see if we get a big shift or not, but that's going to be pivotal for the way we end up moving. And then when it comes to other things, at 10 o'clock a.m., we also have Jerome Powell giving a speech. We'll see what Jerome Powell ends up saying. That's going to be key for us as well, and he could have a big effect on the markets. All right, so we'll see how things go. The market's back to neutral. We're seeing buyers stepping in, and we're getting slowly like more and more greedy. Greed is making up momentum right now. We're also seeing the puts and call option positioning back to greed as the call buyers are starting to dominate. And we're seeing more, puts being closed, more calls being bought. The VIX is neutral. It is trying to rebound a bit, but there is a gap below to fill. So it's not ready for a big breakout yet. It needs a little bit more time until this market begins to top. So what do I see for the charts for tomorrow? Honestly, guys, it depends on the PPI report and what Jerome Powell says. If we're bullish tomorrow, if PPI comes in decent and then Jerome Powell pumps the markets, I want to see this thing break 522.6. If that breaks, watch 523.5 to 523.8, followed by 525, the all-time high. If we lose 520, we're going to be tipping all the way down to 518. And if that fails us, we're going to be dipping even lower towards this 516.8 area. Overall, we have a nice range on SPY, so we'll see which way we end up breaking. I'll be very patient nonetheless, and we'll see what happens with PPI. That's going to be the biggest factor. So I'll be back tomorrow to report how things go. Technically speaking, SPY showing a little bit of weakness with the double top-like structure and a bearish divergence, but just to be safe, I will wait and see. For Tesla, we're looking a little bit more bullish. We're trying to get a bullish cross on the PPO, but for confirmation, we have to break this white trend line. If we break 175, look for a push for 178. If we reject here and lose 170, we're going to be dipping all the way down towards 167.5. I do favor that this is going to try to push on the 4-hour right over here and try to go a little bit higher and try to test this trend line again. So look for a little push on Tesla, test right here, and we'll see if it breaks or not. I'll be very, very patient and wait and see what the move is from there. For Nvidia, we're kind of stuck right now. We do have a potential accumulation, so it is looking a little bit more bullish as we have wicks forming. We'll just have to wait and see. So if we break 908, we're bullish to 920. If we lose 900, look at 892. If we lose that, we could be dipping all the way down to the 880s. Right now, the chart is trying to form a nice accumulation, so it is trying to rebound. So I do see potential for it to go into the 900s, 908 plus. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. For something else, we also have the QQQ. The QQQ is also kind of range bound right now. We have resistance at 444. We have support at 440. We've been trading sideways for quite some time today. If we get a breakouts tomorrow, if PPI launches us higher, we're easily going to 445.63 and 447. If we get a rug pull, look at 440. If we lose that, we're dipping down to 437. This chart is kind of flat right now, so give it some time and we'll see what happens tomorrow. Aapl is looking a bit more bullish. We're testing 186.5. We did call this push yesterday and also say in the morning. If we break this, we'll look for 188. If it rejects here, we're going to be dipping all the way down to previous resistance, becoming support at 185. The chart does favor upside a little bit more, in my personal opinion. NEO has a big event, the Envo event, that's going to be launching, so that they have a new sub-brand being launched. We're looking bullish on the 4-hour. We could be looking for 5.66 or higher. The chart looks a bit more bullish. With that being said, guys, I went over the memes. I also went over the majority of stocks that are of significance. Now I'm going to focus more on the others out there, which are in less detail, if anything. So how about Palantir? If we're bullish, look at 21.32, 21.79, eventually the 22s. If we're bearish, look at 20.5. If we lose that, we're dipping down to 20. We're looking like we're trying to bounce right now, so I do anticipate a test of 21 plus as the most likely possibility. But guys, don't solely trade based off technicals. It depends on the PPI report. We'll see what that ends up causing. For Supermicro, we're also looking kind of weak, at least on the 4-hour. It does favor an imbalance fill towards this lower level. So I do see it potentially drop into the 760s as the technicals show that. But if we happen to be bullish after the report, look for 800 to break in higher levels. Technicals do favor the downside on Supermicro for now, so we'll see how things go. But don't forget, we have PPI coming out for tomorrow and Jerome Powell's speech, so that will affect us too. For Rivian, if we got a nice push today, right? If we hold this 200 EMA, we're going to be pushing all the way back up towards 11.36. If we lose it, this 10.72 area, we're going to be dipping back down towards 10.3. I'll be watching to see what it does tomorrow as it depends on data, but this has some potential in my opinion. For SoFi, this also has some potential. If we break past 7.2, we're going to be going all the way up towards 7.32. If we lose 7.06, we're going to be dipping all the way down towards 6.93. I favor upside somewhat more. On the IWM Russell 2000, I'd be a little bit careful because, even though it's been pushing higher, this kind of has a head and shoulders. I'm not really counting on this to really play out. If we lose the 20 EMA, 204, we're dipping down to 202, eventually 200. If we hold 204, we could be breaking out towards 207, then eventually higher levels such as 208.5. So we're kind of stuck in the middle in this range. There is potential for this to go higher, but we'll just have to wait and see how things go. For AMD, we're on a bit of a downtrend right here. If we end up losing support at this 150 area, we're going to be dipping all the way down towards our next support right here. I see 149, then eventually right here around 146. If we're bullish and we get a break, you want to see it break 152 and start pushing for 153.5. The chart looks a bit more bearish, and it does look like it might actually dip a little bit towards the 145 area. For ARM, nice little breakouts today. Going to be looking for a push for this imbalance. It could go all the way up towards 123 if we keep going. If we're bearish, you want to see it basically retrace to 110 and lose that. The chart is favoring the upside more, in my personal opinion. For Coinbase, Coinbase is on a bit of a downtrend right now, but we're barely at 198. If we lose this, look for 193. 192.5 around that area. If we continue to fall, look for 192 or lower. If we hold support, we're going to rebound towards 208. We're kind of stuck in the middle, but I do see potential for us to dip a little bit before it tries to bounce. So I'll be watching for this very, very carefully. For Amazon, chart's looking a little bit more bearish. We're going to be looking at 185. If we lose this, we're going to be dipping even lower all the way down, towards 182. If we hold 185, we're going to be looking for a rebound towards 188. The chart does look a little bit weaker to me, but it hasn't broken key support yet at 185, so we'll just have to wait and see what the PPI report causes. For Meta, we're also looking a little bit weaker, but we're holding the 50 EMA. If we lose 465, look for a bigger dip all the way down towards 460. And if we bounce off this, we're going to be looking at resistance at 472 and higher levels. This does favor the downside a little bit more, so we'll watch and see what happens from there. For Microsoft is also kind of turning right here. Look at 412. If we lose this, we're going to be dipping down to 409. If we hold this, we're going to rebound. This does favor a little bit more downside, in my personal opinion. For Google, we're kind of flat right now. We're at 170. We are looking like we got a nice big bar to the upside, so it does favor upside somewhat more. If we're bullish, we want to be looking for a move up to about 172. If we're bearish, watch it lose 170, start dipping. It does favor upside somewhat more. I went over to GameStop and AMC for everyone. Let's talk about the VIX. The VIX is trying to push right here, but we'll see if we end up coming back down to fill this gap or not. I'd still be careful with this potential target that we're at because it's not really ready to cause the market to dip yet. So we'll have to wait and see what ends up happening. So if we lose 13.29, this could actually retest 12.5. There have been instances where we test the 12s for about a week before the market started to turn. So it could take some time until the market gets a rejection. But if this keeps shooting up towards 14 and starts breaking through that, then that could be a confirmation this is breaking out and the market is about to see a rug pull. So we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. For the 10-year Treasury yield, we're kind of pushing higher. We'll see what Jerome Powell says tomorrow to affect this. If we break the 50 EMA and start pushing higher, that could be bearish for the markets. If it rejects and approaches the 200 EMA, that would be more bullish, at least for now. So we'll have to wait and see what Jerome Powell says. That's going to be key for this. And the dollar is also going to likely react to Jerome Powell as well. Will he launch the dollar higher, cause the market to dip, or is the market about to do something different? We have a bullish divergence on the dollar, which does suggest upside's a possibility. So we'll wait and see just to be safe. All right. With that being said, guys, I can't make too many very, very big convictions for tomorrow. I can't make any promises because it depends a lot on the data we're about to get. So with that being said, let's wait and see how things go. Let's see what happens with the next PPI report. That's going to be key for us. And then also Jerome Powell's speech tomorrow at 10 a.m. We'll see how things go. But with that being said, I just want to say I thank you all so much for listening. As far as AMC and GameStop go, guys, I know that a lot of people hold emotion towards these charts, towards these stocks. So let me be very clear that as a day trader, as an investor, we have to put emotions aside. That's why I warned everyone that these stocks could fall as fast as they run. Could they run more? Yes. I'm so up to that. I know that these stocks could run a lot more. AMC could run a lot more from here as well. It is still possible. It's looking pretty good in the after hours as well. Nice volume is coming in. So it could push higher. We could be looking for 7.58 and even 10 as potential targets. But let me be clear with everyone. There's no guarantee that these stocks are going to run forever. There's no guarantee that these moves are sustainable. So you have to be open-minded to that, and you have to make moves based off what you're seeing. So always remember, guys, there's a lot of manipulation with these stocks. Okay, they're heavily shorted. The shorts don't like them running too much, and sometimes they like to kind of like bait retail. So we'll see what happens. I do anticipate more potential upside, but watch and see if we get good volume. And just know that as far as the overall market goes, we'll have to wait and see what happens with all this data that's coming out. So what's going to happen with PPI, we'll wait and see, and then we'll be very, very patient nonetheless. All right, so thank you for listening. I hope you guys have an absolutely spectacular rest of the day, and I'll see you guys very soon on the next one. Thank you, and peace out.